about Bitcoin adoption across the entire planet. I love that. So anyway, let's go to our immediately next to our next speaker here. We have Gerardo and Evelyn jumping continents again back to El Salvador of Bitcoin Berlin. They're here to tell us about Bitcoin adoption and Bitcoin education here in El Salvador, where we are enjoying and having a great time. So without further ado, let's bring up Gerardo and Evelyn. Thank you.
Gracias.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for being here. We are Evelyn and Gerardo. We come from a mountain town called Berlin, and we want to show you today how history looks like.
En tiendas Saraí aceptamos Bitcoin.
Aquí en Berlín, en nuestro servicio García, aceptamos Bitcoin.
Aquí en Comedor Camila aceptamos Bitcoin. Aquí en venta de ropa Bifinex aceptamos Bitcoin.
Yo sí que acepto Bitcoin.
Aquí en el Linares sí aceptamos Bitcoin.
En Hostal y Mirador El Compita aceptamos Bitcoin.
Hola, nosotros somos Café 303 y aceptamos Bitcoin.
Aquí en Cancún Las Piquitas sí aceptamos Bitcoin.
Acá en Bahía del Tigre aceptamos Bitcoin. Y en el Cargo de Hondimas también aceptamos Bitcoin.
Aceptamos aquí en Berlín.
Aquí en Variedades Alfaro aceptamos Bitcoin.
Aceptamos Bitcoin.
Frutería El Buen Amigo aceptamos Bitcoin.
Y aquí ya empezamos a cobrar no solo en efectivo, también en Bitcoin.
Sí, yo acepto Bitcoin.
Yo vengo a Family Market porque aceptan Bitcoin.
Sí, aceptamos.
Yo acepto Bitcoin.
En B accesorios sí que aceptamos Bitcoin.
En la cocina de Silvia sí aceptamos Bitcoin.
Y en Berlín, en venta de fruta Elsie, se acepta el Bitcoin.
Aquí en Variedades Don Julito aceptamos Bitcoin.
Aceptamos Bitcoin.
Acá en Coco Restaurant aceptamos Bitcoin. Vamos, común.
Well, thank you. So that's how Bitcoin like in Berlin. After 2 years that it became a legal tender here in El Salvador. We still remember when that news came that Bitcoin was going to be the legal tender of El Salvador. It was huge. It was historic. I think that we can all agree that that was historic what happened. And if we see history as a book that is being written, you know, letter by letter, line by line, page by page, I think that it's fair to say that El Salvador has a special page on the book of history that says that we were the first country that took Bitcoin and adopted Bitcoin as a legal tender. So, so yeah, I still remember Evelyn and I listening to the news, and we start to learn what Bitcoin was. Why is this a huge thing? Why is it that everybody's going crazy? Why all of a sudden we have this new currency here in El Salvador? And as we were learning about Bitcoin, we were realizing how big this is, the big event that it was happening here in El Salvador. Out of all the places of the war, it was happening here in our land, you know, here in our country. History apparently was in our side now because we have had a lot of challenges here in El Salvador, and now apparently history was in our side because we are that country that now is accepting Bitcoin. We just starting to realize about that and how huge this was. I think that every Salvadorian needs to know what this means. Evelyn and I, we just starting to realize, all right, so this is historic. We need to see real time how history is happening around El Salvador. And we were taking any opportunity to go to anywhere in El Salvador. We were going to, well, we were living here in San Salvador. We were going to La Unión, Santa Ana, and Chalatenango, and San Miguel, and Usulután, and everywhere in El Salvador. And we just soon realized that it was going to take more than just a law to spread the adoption here in El Salvador. And we heard a lot of people saying the adoption is going to come. Eventually, everyone will go to Bitcoin because there's the bull market will come and everyone will run to Bitcoin. Once the fiat system collapses, everyone will have to go to Bitcoin. All we need to do is just sit and wait for that to happen. I think that they are right. Everyone eventually will have to go to Bitcoin. But what happens in the meantime while we don't, we wait for the bull market to come? What happens in the meantime while we wait for the fiat system collapses? There's still going to be families suffering for living in the fiat war. There's still going to be people which time and value and work is going to be stolen. And there in Berlin, we get pretty philosophical when we start talking about Bitcoin. And I remember a conversation when we were saying, there's a moral responsibility for us that understand Bitcoin to go and spread the word about Bitcoin. We actually need to go and talk about Bitcoin, spread the Bitcoin education, spend some sats, make Bitcoin to happen faster, because there's people suffering if we don't do this. So the amount of places where we were going, there was this specific place, where they actually made it happen. We saw what Bitcoin Beach was doing, this great project that made it happen, even before there was a law here in El Salvador. They made it happen, even before Bitcoin was a thing here in El Salvador. So we were pretty much inspired by them, by what they were doing. We knew, once we understood the huge opportunity as a Salvadorians we had, that there's a huge opportunity as well for any other town that goes and says, well, I'll raise my hand and I want to be that place where the adoption is happening, when the adoption is spreading. A town that could say, well, we can prove that Bitcoin actually works, that it can be used. So we started to travel, see if there's possible to actually do that. I remember the first time I got to Berlin. There's different things that made us go to Berlin to try to start a circular economy. But the main thing why we actually decided to stay there was because of its people. There's a huge amount of energy there in Berlin. It's amazing. These people is really proud about being from Berlin. We get a lot of that from being Salvadorians. We're really proud about being Salvadorians, But you get, it's a little bit harder to find people, Salvadorian people, feeling proud about being in a specific place here in El Salvador. And you can actually feel that in Berlin. People, you can actually see how the chest goes like this when they say, hey, I'm from Berlin. And they feel really proud about being from Berlin. So there was that huge energy there. And also they know, they are really proud about being from Berlin, but they know that there's a lot of things that still need to change there, that can be improved. They were not happy about the local government. They were not happy about the situation about tourism. There's a lot of families depending about the tourism that goes to Berlin. Things like garbage, stray dogs, the lack of opportunities. And they were all there knowing that there was something that needed to be done. And as we been learning about Bitcoin and what Bitcoin means and what Bitcoin can do, it was just a matter of letting them know that there was something historic happen and that we don't actually need to wait for anyone to come and do something for us. Let's do it ourselves. Let's just start working ourselves. We don't need to wait for any savior, a politician, or someone to come and try to fix the city. Let's try to fix it ourselves. So it wasn't hard. Honestly, it wasn't hard. all of a sudden we had a team of Berliners working towards the same goal that we had. People working towards the Bitcoin adoption. We have been asked the question, how is possible the Bitcoin adoption in Berlin the way it is right now? It honestly is just by talking to people like that, trying to explain or trying to teach them what we learn, what Bitcoin is, how historic what's happening here in El Salvador actually is. And we were just telling them about this crazy idea. Hey, have you heard about Bitcoin City? And they were, yeah, there's a project. Why wait? We can create it here. Berlin is a city, small city, but still a city. Let's just create Bitcoin City here in Berlin. Let's just... Yeah. And that's pretty much how it started. I remember when I first visited Pee-wee's business, Don Julio's business, Chavez's business, and they were all like, let's do it. Let's start doing it. It wasn't hard. All of a sudden, we were doing some other things beside the Bitcoin adoption. We were doing, you know, like the painting campaigns and the cleaning campaigns. And we know that this doesn't fix all the issues that a city can have, but this represents an example of what committed people can do. All we need to do is just to get to work so other Berliners can see, so the world can see actually what we can accomplish by getting to work, to actually do something for ourselves and not waiting for anyone to do something. So now, besides the people, you know, the team that is being working with us toward this crazy idea of becoming the Bitcoin city and trying to improve as much as we can the city there in Berlin, we also have these crazy people, like they call it there in Berlin, these expats, these gringos that go there and actually stay there, living there in Berlin. Because there's something about the people going there to Berlin and staying there, and you can actually see them working with us in the cleaning and the painting campaigns. And if we have a new center and there's a toilet that needs to be fixed, they go and fix it. And they are all asking there, like, why is it that they left the United States? Why isn't that they left Europe? Why is it that they left all these places in the world and they are coming to our little mountain town here in Berlin and they get to work here? There must be something that I'm missing. So it really helps that they are there, that they are showing a really proof of work. And it's these crazy, talented, committed people that are there to teach about Bitcoin, that are there about spreading the word about Bitcoin. Like I was telling you, Berlin is not a fancy city. It has its challenge. And they are not there to vacation. They are there to commit. They are there to work. They are there to prove that something can be done. And all of a sudden, we have this amazing team working towards this crazy idea. Now, we can actually, because we were like, we don't want to say it out loud, you know, let's just keep in between Berliners that we want to be the Bitcoin city. But now we are not actually hidden that. We want to be known as the Bitcoin city. We know that there's a lot of things to do there, a lot of challenges coming, a lot of still work to do because we've been working for the past 6 months, and we say, well, we have been doing great this and this, we're still lacking some work here, and we're going to find this challenge and this other. But as I see the committed people there in Berlin, the Berliners, as I see the Bitcoiners now living there in Berlin, as I hear the ideas and all the conversations we have about how we can improve the city, how we can actually change the whole face of the city, I'm just looking forward to go through every single challenge that, you know, these teams can have, and because we know that we can do it. Now there's a confidence, and now there's if the Berliners felt proud before about being from Berlin, now they are more proud about what we have been accomplished here. They didn't wait for anyone, they just did it. Now these things are happening there in Berlin, and honestly, I just feel grateful about being just a team member there in Berlin. It's great what's happening, and if we go back to history, El Salvador created history, but I think that the people there in Berlin is looking to get a little piece of that history. We want to get those few lines in the book of history that says that something amazing happened there. And I just want you to, I want to invite to the team of Berlin to come to the stage so you can know the faces of the people that has been working towards this project and the faces of the people that actually want to make history there in Berlin. So, you know, Evelyn, she started with me there in Berlin. We have Patty, a really committed, proud citizen there from Berlin, and her son, Sebastian. Pee-wee, one of the first people that was working with us there in the team. Also, Don Frank, that he was there since the beginning. Also, Don Julio and his daughter, Crisanta. Xavi, young man, he's only 16 years old, and he's a business owner. And Doña Irma, people has been asking us what does Doña Irma eat, because she's like really, you know, energetic and being there in the field. And Charlie, one of the first gringos that went there to Berlin, this guy has a lot of knowledge, and it really helps that he speaks Spanish. With this weird accent, you know, but he speaks Spanish there in Berlin. We have Jetro, great man, great knowledge. We're really happy to have them there in Berlin. You know, Nikki and James, talented people. And we have Vania, and we have Rams, Salva. Salva was actually the first Bitcoiner that was there. And he was like, you'll see pretty soon a lot of people is going to come here and going to start living here in Berlin. I didn't see him. He was the first seeing that. So it's great to have all these people here and being part of the Bitcoin team in Berlin. So, yeah, thank you. So this is a great journey. Like I was telling you, we are working towards this crazy idea. The feeling when we get together and start to talk is that this is just the beginning, that there's still a lot of work to do, but there's a lot that we can accomplish there. From our little movement, from these meetings that we have, we feel that we can actually make a change there in the city of Berlin, and we can actually create just a little piece of history there in the history of humankind. So thank you.